Welcome to Survivor's Truck Talk. My name is James, and I want to talk about what every truck driver needs to know when it comes to autonomous trucking or self-driving trucks. I want to cut through all the hype, all the headlines that you hear out there about autonomous trucking or self-driving trucks, and get to some of the facts and the things that we know now about this software and technology that is already being used in certain fleets, even like big companies like FedEx and others that are using this technology already. And if you're an active truck driver like myself, an OTR driver that has been over the road for about 5 years now, I understand the isolation, the time away from family and friends, missing events, and the high stress levels. And that's why I'm developing the RoadCom app to help us deal with this kind of stress out on the road. And if you want to learn more about that, you can visit roadcom.ai. Autonomous trucks use systems like AI, cameras, and radar to be able to drive the vehicle without a human being at the wheel. And this is technology that has been around for a little bit now, and you may have already heard about videos about this AI trucking and autonomous trucking. But I want to just dive a little bit deeper and maybe we can learn a little bit more what's going on in this industry. So as we define autonomous trucking, this is what it is. It uses these systems to operate a semi-truck in this case without a truck driver. And I know that that can create some concerns for some of us and how the future may look. But don't worry, we're going to touch on that and gather some research here in what really is going on. So there are real companies already using this technology. You have companies like Aurora and Kodiak Robotics, and these are companies that have been in the game for 15, 20 or more years talking about this kind of technology, creating teams and engineers that are involved in all of this. You get to see how this technology has evolved. And so autonomous trucking is not something that was created or, established overnight. It has been in the making for quite some time. And these people that are behind these software companies and technologies like Aurora and Kodiak, they have a lot of experience in the tech world and engineering and software engineering. So it's an incredible technology, and it's very impressive what we see out there right now out on the road. I believe that Aurora already has some trucks driving autonomously in highways like I-45 in Texas. You may have seen some of them. I think I may have run across a few. You can see the cameras all around the semi-truck on the top left and right, and maybe even on the rear. That could have been a self-driving truck and you may not have realized it, but the technology is here. It's not a secret. They are already testing, a small group of trucks that can, travel these roads. And of course, there's a lot of opinion and argument behind this, whether we should even have this kind of technology. But I often thought, how do some of these trucks, when they get closer to delivery, you still need a human being to determine how to back up the truck to the dock. You still need a human being in bad weather conditions to make decisions. You still need a human being to do the paperwork that is required for that delivery or that load. And so you see that human beings, truck drivers behind the wheel are still very necessary. But it is amazing, this technology, what they can do already. I mean, they have a radar system that can see around them 360 degrees all the time, and they can even see further than the human being. So you see how impressive this technology can be. I can see how this is helpful, how it can, reduce maybe some accidents in the trucking industry, and it can reduce, some of these incidents that we as truck drivers can create in certain situations. But there's a mix of pros and cons there. But this autonomous technology or this software, they are trying it on long highways and predictable routes and things like this. The interesting question is the timeline of how long will this take for it to really significantly displace truck drivers? And that is a good question. It just depends, on a lot of things, on politics, on safety and regulations, and how this technology is evolving. And as you and I both know, AI technology is evolving very quickly. I mean, there are some unimaginable conversations out there right now about AI technology. I mean, you have big players like Elon Musk talking about, he wants to build millions of robots that can replace what humans do, such as tasks at the house, doing chores, maybe washing dishes, and the list can continue of what they are already trying to implement into society, where robots are going to replace a lot of things that human beings maybe don't want to do in the household. And that's just one example. This does not include manufacturing and logistics and all these things that require human labor. The AI technology is here. People like Elon Musk have very, very ambitious goals for the future. It could get here quicker than we think. But again, going back to the debate, I personally believe that you still need a human truck driver behind the wheel to do city truck driving. Again, inspections play a role. How all these things will turn out with just, the technology is yet to be seen, but they are in the early stages, and it's very interesting how this is going to unfold. And so to answer the question, should we be concerned as truck drivers currently? And the answer to that, in my opinion, is no. We still need truck drivers out on the road, and fleets do understand this. Of course, there's some big players in the fleet industry right now, in the trucking fleet industry, that are implementing this technology, but they do understand we still need the human behind the wheel. So right now, AI does not replace entire responsibility. That comes from the human being, the truck driver, who is responsible right now for that semi truck or that vehicle that they operate. This is not going to be an overnight replacement. Now, we may see a little bit more autonomous truck driving, let's say within the next 5 years or so, and it may pick up a little bit, after 2030 to 2035. But they are saying by 2040 or so, it could be a significant impact. But remember, they are still going to need human beings to pilot these programs. And that's another discussion that we could have maybe in an additional video. But for now, we can say that there are schools out there that can train you to operate this software. It's kind of like the air traffic control and a pilot perhaps flying an aircraft. They put it on autopilot. But they are still monitoring the aircraft safely. And this could be something we see way in the future, where jobs like this can open up, where truck drivers or people interested in this field can get some schooling, a certificate, and they will be able to, operate these autonomous trucks with this software. So we should not be overly concerned. This is not an overnight thing. I know that it can create some stress for us as truck drivers, and we need to make sure that we are staying mentally healthy overall. And that's why I'm developing the RoadCom app. If you want to learn more about that, it will have a journal feature to express our thoughts. It will have features where you can upload images and also add some video, and also an AI wellness coach that will assist you in your mental health or just your overall well-being. So if you want to learn more about that, visit roadcom.ai. So to summarize these points a little bit here, again, AI trucking is here. There's already artificial intelligence and systems in the trucks, but we are discussing more specifically autonomous trucking. But the key reasons that matter right now is the human aspect. We still have decision making in chaos. That's the human being that needs to make those decisions. We still have situational awareness, being aware of our surroundings and to make decisions based upon our environment safely. And we are accountable as truck drivers. We have safety accountability. That's something that we need to consider still as a truck driver, a human being truck driver. We also have being able to adapt in certain situations. And can the autonomous software, beat the human being? Yes, it can in some cases, especially being able to, again, see long distances 360 at once and at the same time. That's a computer engineering, advantage that this software has. We are limited to our vision, what's in front of us, and our peripheral vision. So you can see that the argument that is made there by these companies like Aurora and Kodiak. If you're an old school truck driver, this may not matter because, by the time that this significantly impacts our society, you may be doing something completely different. You may be out of the industry. You may have done your time and you're just retired and just want to enjoy life. You don't care about the AI technology and all these things that are happening in that world. I know that's not attractive to some of us, but I'm just trying to create some awareness here that this technology is here. It's moving quickly. And also, there's other aspects of these big CEO companies and owners and founders that are implementing this AI technology. I often ask myself the question, is some of this even ethical or coming from a good point of view, or is it just about greed and money? Because AI is very powerful. It can help us with a lot of things in our life. I use it personally for research. I see how powerful the tool is, how it can take a task and just do it in literally seconds, whereas a human could take weeks, even months to do, to be able to assimilate information and process it and then come up with an answer. AI technology is just, moving very quickly. But this is something I often wonder, is some of this ethical? The pros and cons are important to consider as well. Autonomous trucking may drive some of the highways right now, but as truck drivers, we still have the responsibility of safety. We still have the responsibility of using wisdom to take the best course of action in any given situation. And we certainly still need the human truck driver behind the wheel. So don't worry, this is in the very early stages. Stay with me in this discussion because I'll continue to talk about updates and changes in the trucking industry when it comes to AI technology. And again, this channel also helps truck drivers manage stress. And that's why I have been developing the RoadCom app for about 8 or 9 months now. Again, it will have a couple of features that I believe that we can all use personally to keep our stress levels manageable and to keep us mentally healthy out here, because I understand that there are stressful elements of this industry and it can weigh on our shoulders. It can cause us to be maybe even depressed sometimes, and maybe we feel lonely sometimes. But I'm developing this tool to help us to stay balanced out here. And again, truck drivers, stay safe out there and stay RoadCom. And if you want to learn more about that, visit roadcom.ai.